Time is 6:18 on 30 April. Temperature inside the tent is 12.3 degrees Celsius, 97% humidity and 907 pressure. Not raining at the moment, but tent is nice and wet outside. Filled up the Mefo burner and boiling 500 mils of water to make coffee and porridge. Tent appears dry inside. I've just added half cup of rolled oats and a bit of milk to taste, and I'll let it stand in the cosy for about 15 minutes and then give it a final heat up. The porridge tastes nice. Temperature outside the tent is 11.3 degrees Celsius. Was not too uncomfortable last night with the thin closed cell foam mat. Certainly much lighter than the air beds. Also wasn't that cold last night, only 12 degrees, so the time is 8:41 on 30 April. I'm at Guthega Power Station and going to do a 3-day walk up into the Snowy Mountains National Park. My first destination will be Whites River Hut, and then I'm thinking of going across country to Tin Hut. Probably then, if I get there, stay at the hut, and then tomorrow it'll be heading over to Mawson's Hut and then to stay at Valentine's Hut, and then on the Monday you'll be returning back from Valentine's Hut past Schlink Hilton and back to the power station. Temperature's about 11 degrees Celsius at the moment. It rained lightly last night up till about 1 o'clock, and at the moment it's not raining, but I'm sure it'll be raining today. I think about 25 millimetres is forecast for today, and wind is supposed to be increasing towards Monday. Starting to get a bit warm with this uphill. I think I'll be taking the blue shirt off soon. Time's 9:43 and still on the Disappointments Spur trail. Not far now to the hut. Time is 10:12 and I've arrived at Disappointments Spur hut. Just stopped drizzling at the moment. Solar panels generating 44 milliamps at 4.87 volts. Time's 10:23 and started to rain again, a bit heavier. So I've put the solar panel back, not worth getting things wet and possibly damaged. And also put on the Gore-Tex jacket. Time is 11:03 and have arrived at the Schlink Pass trail. Raining a bit heavier now. Pants above the gaiters are wet, boots are wet. Going to have lunch, I think, at White's River Hut. Time is 11:54 and I'm at White's River Hut, heating up some water for some soup. Still raining outside, bit damp on the shirt under the Gore-Tex jacket, but it was probably damp from walking up that hill from the sweat under that blue shirt. Time is 13:39 and at the top of Schlink Pass, altitude 1804 metres. Time is 14:10 and have arrived at Schlink Hut. Time is 14:34 and at the junction of Valentine's Trail and Schlink Pass Trail. Not raining, temperatures about 8 degrees Celsius. Time is 15:30 and have filled up all my water bottles from Duck Creek. PS says it's 2.4 kilometres to Valentine's Hut. Time is 16:23 and have arrived at Valentine's Hut. The solar panels generating 2.3 milliamps at 4.56 volts. Energy transferred is 11.6 milliwatt. So it's been going for most of the way along Valentine Fire Trail, but certainly not charging the Sony battery at the moment. The time is 17:06 and I've got the tent up and taken the wet boots off. Everything else is dry inside the tent. I'll start cooking dinner now, which will be half serve of the 2-person backcountry meal. So it should be easy to cook. Just have to boil the water, then add it to the dry mixture, and then wait about 15 minutes with the pot cosy, keeping it warm. Weather station is saying temperature 12.5 degrees Celsius, 89% humidity and pressure 859. I've put 230 mils of water in the pot, and I first tried using one of the older lighters I have, but it's not giving any spark. So I had other newer lighters which were working. I think the dampness has been giving problem for the older lighter. Temperature is 9.5 degrees, 95% humidity and pressure 859 inside the tent with door open. It's been one eventful night. When I retired at 8 o'clock listening to the radio last night, there was no wind. And then during the night the wind picked up. Although didn't really notice the tent shaking too much. Then at 3:30 the rain started, and from the sound of on the tent it was a bit heavy and nothing to be alarmed about. But then I just felt beside the sleeping bag where I was lying, and I felt water, so I thought I'd better get up and investigate. And then I noticed that there was a big puddle of water right where my head was, at the entrance of the tent in the corner. I had, before I retired, set out the Tyvek ground sheet folded in half and the closed cell foam mat, which is only about half length, and I was lying on that. It soon became evident that water was gathering under the tent in that corner and coming up through the tent floor. Fortunately, nothing got too wet. The sleeping bag feels to be dry, so I immediately put the sleeping bag away and then changed into my shorts and put the waterproof pants on and started drying the tent floor. Fortunately, all my clothes and that were in their waterproof bags, so nothing wet there. My warm, dry socks stayed fairly dry. This all at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was dark and the wind was blowing really strong. Could feel the tent shake. I'm sure glad that I set out the tent last night with the extra storm guys deployed and had nice taut surface on the tent fabric. I don't think any water's come down through the roof. Probably can see the tent shaking a bit at the moment. Still think lightly raining, can hear the rain. So I got everything under control. I spread the ground sheet out full length. I've got things back in their waterproof bags and cooked breakfast. I'm glad I didn't go over to Tin Hut yesterday. I could have gone across the tops through the cloud, but when those two guys at White's River Hut told me that the forecast had been delayed a day and the 25 mils of rain and the 75 mile an hour winds were due for Sunday, I thought maybe Valentine's Hut would be the more sensible option. So that's where I am. Pack up, get everything back into the pack, and then I'll pull the tent down and head to Schlink's hut, I think. See what it's like there. It's a nice big hut. Can dry things out if anything's wet. Well, this is the puddle that I'm talking about. I think it was bigger than that at 4 o'clock this morning, but I can only think that the water ran down the hill and collected in that little depression and pooled under the tent. I've moved things inside now into the hut and try and dry things off. Stay here a while, head back to Schlink's for a shorter trip back to the car tomorrow. At the moment it's not raining but cloudy on the mountains, so probably safety first and stay down in the valley. The time is 10:11 and hasty pack up of the tent, and now all set to return back to Schlink Hut. Just started a bit of hail just now, still very windy. It's 15:18 and I'm all settled into the tent now, changed, and time to take stock of my experience. There was no rain since I left Valentine's hut, very windy, and there was a little bit of hail as I was leaving Valentine's hut, very tiny balls of ice. So I wore the Gore-Tex jacket all the way to Schlink hut, and when I took the Gore-Tex jacket off a few minutes ago, I was dry underneath, so that was good. So temperatures probably, according to the MEC thermometer, about 2 or 3 degrees Celsius, so not that warm but windy. Tent's dried out nicely in the wind. I've laid out the sleeping bag and noticed a few dark patches. Didn't notice them at Valentine's hut, so maybe compressed. Any dampness has sort of spread throughout the bag, but just not too many dark patches, but a few spots here and there. So sleeping bag will need a good dry out when I get home. Not sure what to do about the tent floor. Obviously it's past its days, and best solution I guess is not to pitch the tent in any puddles. The solar panel has been a waste of space and weight on this trip. Given the dull conditions, it's not producing anywhere near enough power to charge the Zyme battery. It was a big lunch. I had half a cup of the Aldi trail mix. I had some cheese and 6 Vita Wheat biscuits with peanut butter. Time 16:44 and it's time to cook dinner. I've put 500 mils in the pot, so about 350 for the soup. Temperatures just nudge above 0. Time is 16:58 and the water's boiled a few minutes ago, and I've poured it into the soup, and the remainder is in the billy, to which I've added the backcountry meal plus the beef jerky, and I'll let it stand with the pot cosy for about 15 minutes while I enjoy the soup. The time is 9:06 and all packed up and about to leave Schlink hut. I'll head back to White's hut turn-off and then a bit further to the turn-off to the horse camp trail and go along the horse camp trail. Never done that before. Time is 09:30 and at the summit Schlink Pass, sign says altitude 1,804 metres. I've just had to take out the two Loops Pro batteries I had in the audio recorder because the low voltage indicator had just come on, and I put in two new lithium batteries. It's 11:19 and I've finished my early lunch, which was a handful of the Aldi mix, a little bit of the fruit salad mix and a little bit of the berry mix with a slice of cheese. I'll now head off to Horse Camp Hut. Time is 12:01 and I've come to this fork. There's a construction site sign saying Horse Camp Hut and environment is closed for some work, and time is 12:25 and I'm at the ford over the Munyang River. Wind's starting to pick up a bit and clouds starting to move across, so maybe seeing most of the sunshine for today. Just noticed thermometers now says temperature 4 degrees Celsius, certainly feeling much colder. I've now put on the Gore-Tex jacket. Well, time's almost 1400 and back at Guthega Power Station. Feeling pretty good. My right ankle, which was troubling me on the steep sections up to Valentine's hut, has been without complaint both Sunday and today. Been an interesting weekend away. I don't think I've ever experienced any camping any time in bad weather such as I experienced on Saturday night. Certainly was very windy and heavy rain, and the tent, to my amazement, survived and also didn't leak from the top at all. However, it's a different story, the tent floor, and there was big puddles appearing inside the tent. So I was not happy with the sleeping mat, too short and didn't provide any barrier from the water that did come in. I was lucky not to get the sleeping bag wet, but I did notice that the water was inside the tent before too much could get wet, so didn't have very bad consequences other than being up from 4:30 or so till dawn, saving things from getting wet and bailing out the tent. Need a bit of work on one of the tent poles. Not good for solar energy this weekend. Was able to get a bit of power today. However, the USB monitor has lost calibration, so can't measure how much I've got until I try and recalibrate it back home. So had more than adequate food and visited some huts. Most of them, all of them in fact, I've been to before, but the aim was to test the equipment such as the tent and the stove with regard to possible trip to Cape Wrath, possibly this September. So the snowy mountains in May is probably good introduction for Scotland. It's only been cold today. The other 2 days weren't so cold, but it was 5 degrees up at Munyang River. I think it's a bit warmer down at the power station, but there's a good 400 metres difference in altitudes. But the wind's picked up since midday, and don't know whether there's more rain than that coming. Pity about the weather station. It's another troubling thing. If it's not going to be reliable, no point bringing it